amigos. Hi, bonjour, and welcome to another episode of Money Maketh Man on Nairametrics. I remain your host, Origbenije, aka OG, and on this episode, we're talking about the third leg of the job market. Pre-COVID-19, we're used to 9 to 5 and entrepreneurs, but the pandemic brought another leg in the job market. It started with people working remotely during the pandemic, to keep the economy running and all. And then eventually remote work became a growing, emerging leg in the job market. And a lot of people now want to get remote jobs because one, obviously, is remote, flexibility, and you earn the dollar. So Dolakpo, Benjamins, all of that. So today I have my first guest ever, my friend. He's a freelance journalist, a technical writer, an avid reader, my friend, a cool guy, Dream Child, Obari.
Hi. So I'm Dream Child, like she already said, and I'm a writer, journalist, not a technical writer, a tech writer.
Tech writer.
Yes, I write about technology, commerce, cars, and been doing this for a while now, I think, before COVID.
Okay, so you're an OG before COVID.
Yeah.
So did you always like writing?
Yeah, I've been writing ever since I could read, actually.
Were you a literature student in school?
Yes, I was.
So you're totally arts?
Yes, I was totally arts, even fine arts too. So.
Oh, okay, that's cool. So when did you realize that you could make money from writing?
Actually, I was ghostwriting for a bit. I didn't have my name on any articles or anything. I was writing for somebody, and we were doing reviews for random products, baby strollers, golf clubs, lawnmowers. So I'd do the reviews and I'd write. And then sometimes I'll help people write content for their apps.
Okay.
Yeah, so sometimes I even write about those. I remember this project I worked on. It was writing about reptiles for an app, an encyclopedia.
Isn't that like sciencey?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay. DC was actually, something funny? So all those little manuals that come in your electronics that most of us throw away? I don't know why it never occurred to me that it was actually somebody's job to write those manuals. I thought the companies just used to print it. But DC was the one that made me know that actually people get paid to write those manuals. So
those are technical writers.
Technical writers.
Yeah, that's what
so please don't throw away your manuals. I beg. That's somebody's job. But today, we're just going to, break down the differences in not finances, but how we manage our finances. I'm in a structured corporate 9-to-5 world, and he's a freelancer. This is not one of those episodes where we tell you where you can find remote jobs. That's not it. We're just, showing you the good, the bad, and maybe the ugly sides of both, sides of the coin. So as a corporate girly in Nigeria, obviously I'm in Naira, but due to the structure and the corporate world, there's a difference between net pay, gross pay. So your net pay is what you get at the end of the month. Like that's your cash in hand. Your gross pay includes your HMO, your learning and development fee, your pension, housing fund, and all of that. So regardless of my net pay, I know at the end of every month, something goes to my pension account. I know my healthcare is covered, either depending on the coverage you have between basic and premium. Even as I'm unmarried and single, I have HMO. Married people also have HMO that covers, I think, up to 4 children, because that's about the average number of kids people have in Nigeria. And then there's housing fund, L&D. So corporate structure or companies encourage you to learn and to grow and either to do certification. So a lot of companies already have coverage for your certifications, whereby while you do a certification, an accredited certification, you get reimbursed when you pass. So for instance, if I were to do DCP, which is designated compliance professional, or an ACCA or CFA or CFE, or any of those certifications that are worldwide or at least nationwide, I will get reimbursed most times. This doesn't apply to all companies, but most companies have the structure.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Whereas as a freelancer, it is sort of different because they don't have these gross net pay, if I'm not mistaken, right? And even though their net pay might be your gross pay at the end of the year, but it is also not like there's no fixed amount for other things other than your net pay. And also as a freelancer, I would say it's not as stable.
Yeah, I think that's the major downside of freelancing is that mostly you're a contract staff.
Okay.
If you're even a staff, just say you're a contractor. And for instance, now I have a client that will renew the contract every 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, so after the end of the 6 months, they might say, look, we're not going to pursue this any further. And many freelance companies or companies that give freelancers work, they have clauses in their contracts that allow them to terminate it at any time.
Why?
Based on their own
Shouldn't there
reasons.
be like a 30-day warning?
No.
At least in the corporate sector, they'll first warn you, then at least they'll call you to disciplinary committee,
No.
drag before they finally...
No, it depends if the company is nice. But most of the times, all the clients I've lost, I didn't get the benefit of that. It was basically instant. I lost my Slack, got a termination email.
So they just yank you off?
Yes, that's what
that's
they do.
Crazy.
So that's the major drawback is that there's no reliability, there's no consistency,
there's no like safety net.
there's no safety net.
Okay, so talking about that in terms of finances, like obviously in the corporate world, your company can go under, you can be bankrupt, funding, you can even just do something silly and then you get a termination letter.
Yeah.
But in terms of finances, where your type of job is not as stable as corporate, how do you then plan?
Okay, so most times I have at least 2 clients.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have at least two clients, and so far I've only worked gigs where they pay me per job or per hour, right?
Okay.
So for each hour I put in, for each article I write, I get paid.
Okay.
So I get to determine how much I get to make.
Okay.
Right. So if they're paying me $100 per article, for instance, and there's no cap to how much I can write.
20 articles.
Exactly. So that month I'm going to make $2,000.
Oh, okay. So you kind of have sort of control.
Yeah, there's control.
When you know your clients. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So the idea is that if you can now look at these clients and then speculate how much reasonably you can make a month, and then you can now plan down the line from there.
Okay, so going back to the point of like pension, housing fund, HMO, seeing as you don't, like your company does not provide that for you, how do you now make those provisions for yourself?
So yeah, it's something I'm working on personally, right?
Okay.
For the most of the time while I was freelancing, I was young, very young.
Okay.
So pensions, I started very young.
Okay.
I started barely 18, maybe 17. And surely at 17, nobody's thinking about HMO, nobody's thinking about pensions, I'm trying to see if I can buy food, man. Yeah, or maybe go out and have fun, or maybe buy a nice car, right? So none of that. But lately, it's been something that has become more of, I would say an issue. I won't say an issue, but like a priority. Yeah, to me. So I have been doing my groundwork to find an HMO, for instance, that I like. And has provisions near me where I live. Okay. So, so far, actually, the prices seem similar to what salary people pay. Okay. Yeah, it's like they have tiers, of course. Yeah, they do. So yeah, and most of the HMOs I've seen, they cap us around maybe like $500,000 naira.
Yeah.
Per year.
Yeah, per year.
Yeah, which is not bad. considering. It's not bad, considering.
You people.
It's not bad. It caps at 500K,
Yes.
but it doesn't mean you have to pay that.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so that's fair.
You even have like basic easy plans for
Yeah, like-
12,000 for 6 months.
I've not seen 12,000.
They do.
Okay, for 6 months, perhaps.
Yeah, Mansard has a plan like that.
Really?
Mansard, you should, pay me for plugging you there. But like, yeah, Mansard has a plan like that. Easy plan, I think it's 6K for 6 months and 12K for a year. So just like basic checks and whatnot. I would also say in terms of HMO, okay, yeah, like a friend asked me what type of plan I chose. And I was like, oh, standard. And he was like, why didn't you go for platinum? Do you know what I told him? I said I'm AA. I rarely get sick. So like the HMO is just to do my yearly checkup and be on my way. But honestly, HMO goes a really long way, especially for people who have families, for pregnant colleagues or pregnant workers, for older people.
I think everyone should have an HMO.
Yeah, you should have a health
Honestly.
plan. At least do your checkups once a year. Blood pressure, sexual health, all of that, do your checkups once a year. Because you'll be working. You don't know what's going on inside your body. So
Because I know that, like, sometimes when I go to the hospital, why can I say students? I go to the hospital and I pay like registration fee.
yeah,
I pay consultation
you
fee.
pay for cards.
I pay.
You pay
Yeah.
for this. You pay
I've
for
already spent
injection.
50K.
You pay for drugs.
I've already spent
True.
50K, and
True.
that 50K would have covered me
Yes.
for a year.
Yes.
Do you see?
Yeah.
So I think everyone should have an HMO.
Yes, and HMO providers should also be efficient in their processes, because I know an issue a lot of hospitals and HMO users have is, your provider hasn't sent in your details, this and that. So there's always some bottleneck in either payments, billing, and it affects other things.
Have you had that issue with your
Personally, no, but I know people who have had.
Can you mention the names of the company so we can avoid?
No.
So you can plug for good, but you can't plug for bad.
Let me know, ruffle some feathers at the beginning
It's
of my
fine.
career here.
It's
But
fine.
yeah, so just be, you know yourselves, but do better. And then for pension, so in my previous episode, I talked about financial responsibility and savings, investments, yada, yada, yada. But pension is something a lot of people overlook in terms of the fact that people think, firstly, there's this sort of distrust around pension that, there's a possibility you work when it's time to collect your pension fund. Then,
Does it not happen?
It happens, but like there's a general distrust around the pension
Why does it
fund.
happen?
That's a question for anyway.
Why does it typically happen to government staff in particular?
Yes, that's something that I believe PenCom would work on and improve.
Don't you use Pencom?
No, I actually have a different pension provider. Like everyone has a pension number. Then you have your pension provider. So like there's Crusader Sterling, I think Tango, something like that.
Which one do you use?
Stanbic. I'm not plugging people like that on this show. You want me to plug you, you pay me. But yeah, so there's Stanbic, Crusader Sterling, I think it's Tango or Mango. I'm not sure the name. But there are different pension providers. And sometimes, depending on your company, like you can be in company A and they only have Stanbic and Crusader. You go to company B, they don't have Stanbic. But the good thing is that once you have your pension number, you can literally transfer your pension funds from point A to point B. Because I did that when I moved from my previous place of work to my current place of work. But once at the end of the month, there's a percentage of your salary that goes to your pension. And obviously, pension is a long-term savings account. I'm 25.
What's the percentage?
I'm not entirely sure right now.
Some companies match, right? Or is that only something that happens in America? Because I know about like 401k arrangements and then matching, like you choose how much you want to put in your pensions account. If it's 20K, then the company will match that 20K as well and then add it to your pension account for you. I know that's how my dad did his pensions back when he was still a salaried staff.
As far as I know, it's a pension of your gross pay that goes to your pension accounts. As far as I know, I can't talk about...
I've spoken with a pension expert about this before. And she told me that some companies match.
If you have a company that matches, comment below how that works. But for me, it's a percentage. So obviously, as your salary, gross pay, net pay gets higher, the 10% of 100K and 10% of 200K are not the same thing. And then, yes, with MPR, the interest rates on your pension account also helps your growth of your pension account across the years. So as I was saying, I'm 25, God being on my side, all things being equal. Let's say I work till I'm 55. Hope I want to retire at 45, but let's say I work to 55. So I have 30 more years on my pension accounts. There's also a scheme for using your pension as either guaranteed to take large lumps of loans or large lumps of money to either build your house. You can also use your pension fund to trade and invest. I'm not sure the code, but I think it's something about RSCA. But now that you're still young, even though you said when you were younger, what do you have a long-term savings account? Not savings like this one that they, even if Jesus come, are not breaking this one.
Look, I have savings, right? And it's basically like money comes into my account from work. And I'm like, okay, fine, this has to go into spending for household. And this has to go into my savings account.
Okay.
Right? So I am looking to get a high yield savings account, right?
Okay.
Because I plan to be a homeowner in maybe 5 to 10 years.
My friend is going to be a homeowner. Just telling you guys.
I plan to buy a house in 5 to 10 years.
And I will be there for
So,
the housewarming party.
Of course. Why not? So 5 years, right? And if you're doing, you know how compound interest works, right?
Yes.
So with a decent amount of money going into a high yield savings account, let's say maybe like even an interest rate of 5%, fair?
5% is not high.
It's not high.
Yeah.
But it's safe.
Yeah, but like average 18-22.
Yeah, that's
Nigeria.
That's medium risk at that point. That's what they call that kind of interest. So low risk, high yield savings, 5%. Very low risk. So based on that, because I always calculate the worst case scenario. So based on that, putting maybe $1,000 a month or something like that.
God, wait. God, I beg.
You can actually build
God,
up
pick up my call.
something substantial.
Okay.
And I've noticed that, at least for me, it's not, they don't make it immediately obvious how, as someone who earns like in dollars in Nigeria, how you can invest those dollars, right?
Yeah.
It's not immediately obvious. It's a little tricky because moving dollars about is not easy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you know this, but there are two types of digital dollars in Nigeria.
What do you mean digital dollars?
I'll explain.
Okay.
There's inflow and there's cash.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was a time I was supposed to exchange money and I went to the bank and I told the security man that, look, I want to exchange dollars. So what form do I need to pick? He was like, okay, just pick this form and tell them you want to do in and out. It's like, okay, now, no problem, thanks. Sign the form, gave it to them. So what they did was they withdrew the money from my account in cash, counted the cash, and then put it in the person's account I was supposed to send it to.
Oh, so they didn't do a transfer?
Yes.
They took out cash and put it
in the and I'm like, okay, thank you. And I called the person, like, I just sent you the money.
Tell me it was deficit of $50.
No.
Okay.
He just told me that, how did you do it? I said, I explained I did an in and out. And he just started crying on the phone. No, how could you? No. And I'm like, huh? What happened? And he was like, oh, that money is now cash. It was inflow when the company sent it to my account, which means I could open up my phone, send the money to him. But I couldn't for some reason. My app wasn't working. So I did that. And he was like, okay, now he can't transfer that money.
Oh, yeah, I know. So I've heard of that. Yes, I'm in the finance sector, but I'm not in cash and financial transactions. However, I do know that I have a dollar fund account, and then moving money from my dollar account to my dollar fund. Mind you, please, I don't earn in dollars, so this dollar fund we're managing as well. Great. Well, for every transfer you make, there's a $25 charge for something, $25 charge for something, there's 0.01% charge on something. So if you want to transfer, let's say $300 to your dollar fund, you have to have at least $360 in your account to move it. And that's if the dollar account you opened in your bank is not one of those accounts that have a minimum operating balance, because there's some dollar accounts that you can't go below $50 or whatnot. So it really differs. I think on your part of, yes, there are not many investment opportunities for people who earn dollars.
They might be, but they're not obvious.
Yeah, they're not obvious.
That's
and
the
people
problem.
don't push it as much as they push Naira investments, because mostly, obviously, the currency of the country is Naira. But off the top of my head, I would say, okay, there are places like Bamboo.
Do you invest in stock?
Do I?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
You use Bamboo?
Yes, I do use Bamboo.
Have you ever changed your money to dollars on Bamboo?
No, I have not. I just link my dollar card.
But you have a serious
the dollar is very small, so
I wanted to do that when I saw the fee, and I'm like, I'm not going to make that much money from stock for me to be paying, because I was like, okay, I wanted to transfer a certain amount of money, and then my gains for that year was not going to cover the fees.
Bamboo.
But I think the issue was that I wanted to use my dollar card
To link it.
Yes.
So maybe if I had
put in Naira, then exchanged, it would have been a lower rate. But I didn't want to do that.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to have to be moving money up and down. Yeah, so it was better as, okay, this is an option. But my gains...
They make sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can buy stock shares in, foreign companies.
Can you invest in stocks with PiggyVest?
No, you cannot.
Is it just to...
PiggyVest is strictly savings, and then they have Naira and dollar savings. You can't do shares and stuff. They do commercial papers, but that's it. So for dollar investments, for me, this is my own 2 cents about the matter. So obviously the conversion rate is really crazy. And like I said, the average stock or share price per unit in a company in Nigeria is between 5 Naira to 100 Naira. For the premium shares, you have 900 Naira and above. But for a company abroad or in America, you're thinking $20-$30 per share, which is about 50K per share. So if I use 200,000 Naira to buy shares in Nigeria at 10 Naira per share, and I carry that 200,000 Naira and buy shares in XYZ abroad with $50, so I'll end up buying 3 shares there. And where here, I will buy hundreds of thousands, or even if it's not hundreds of thousands, maybe like 5,000, 6,000. So for me, I always say, if you're earning Naira, you don't need to really stress you. Like, I don't stress myself when it comes to...
Yeah, but there's a point against that, right?
Okay, what's the point?
So for instance, I might have like savings in dollars somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe a reasonable amount, maybe like 5K.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just keeping it in my account, right, I might decide, okay, this is my emergency rainy day fund. Let me keep the value so that it beats inflation.
Okay.
That's the idea, right? Because even the dollar is inflating.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So I'd say, okay, let me use 5K to buy S&P 500 or an index fund, and then keep the value, because index funds typically they beat inflation actually. Yeah. So as a Naira earner, if you earn in substantial amounts, it might not be a bad idea. If you're the kind of person that buys Forex to say short the Naira, or like to hedge against Naira, then you can use that money to buy dollars, even at a reasonable loss, right? Because
reasonable loss.
Like when you convert, you're going to lose some value.
True.
So you use that money to buy dollars, then use the dollars to buy an index fund, like a strong index fund.
I should make you my permanent co-host, because me, I'm learning, but yeah.
Yeah, and then instead of just buying the dollars and keeping it, and then inflation will erode it. Granted, you are spending naira. So if naira enters 2,000 naira now next year, you're still good.
Okay.
You still likely beat inflation. But this way you can beat inflation even better. Right. So I'd advise it. If you're the type of person that buys dollars with your naira and saves in dollars, because some people do that, then I think you should buy stock.
So Forex boys and girls, hope you heard DC. Another product that has to do with dollar that I don't think most people know about is dollar fund. I know not all banks have this product with them. I think only few select of the tier 1 banks out of Fugas. So if you don't know who or what Fugas is, First Bank, UBA, GT, Access, Zenith, mix up Fugas. So you have dollar fund accounts. You can speak to your relationship manager of those tier 1 banks to ask if you have dollar fund available. For me, with dollar fund, so America keeps a single digit interest rate. So that also translates to the dollar fund. So you're not really making so much interest on your savings because it basically goes between 5.6, maybe in a good month, it might reach 7.2. But it never, between 5, 7, averagely between 5.8, 6.1%. So, and most of dollar funds, you have to increase it in hundreds. So if you start with $100, next time you're topping up, has to be either $100 or $200. You can't put $10, $15. It has to be multiples of hundreds. Whereas like a money market fund, you can put 2,000 today, 1,000 tomorrow, 100,000 next day. So yeah, if you have dollars, you can also save in that manner. Interest rate is not that great, but again, you're saving in a more stable currency. So
and you're hedging against inflation. I think that's the most important thing.
Hedging against inflation.
Instead of leaving your money to rot in a savings account.
Exactly.
It's better.
Speaking of savings account, there's just something I think people don't know about savings accounts in Nigeria. So your savings account, a lot of people think savings is supposed to be like a regular account. But your savings account actually has...
Why is it easier to set up than current? Because that's where a lot of people default to.
Because of the requirements of savings to current. And your savings account, typically, if you do not withdraw from that account more than 2 times in a month, you are entitled to interest. Most people don't know that. People run savings accounts like day to day.
That's because it's easier to set up.
Easier to set up.
Don't you need referrals for your current account?
Yes, you do.
Exactly.
You need references.
Yeah.
2 references, but it's a process. Hopefully one time we'll get to a point where we don't need references and just open your account.
Doubt.
Well, we'll see what
I highly doubt that.
The CBN brings. So I have a question. You started when you were 17, 18. So you started writing
for money.
Okay, you started writing for money as a ghostwriter and, pre the whole craze of, remote work.
Actually, in COVID, I wasn't writing professionally for money.
So when?
I was playing video games.
Okay.
No, I was actually making money from video games.
Okay, so I'm rethinking my life choices. Paraventure, I should go and
It wasn't a lot now.
I'm going to buy Fortnite and I'm going to dedicate 1 month to learning it so I can play online. But yes, so I just wanted to ask, what was the reaction of, I want to say, key stakeholders in your life when you said, what did you study in uni, sorry?
Law.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you go to law school?
No, I left my law program halfway through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So not only did you not get called to bar, you abandoned your law degree halfway.
Yeah.
To what? To write. Now he's earning dollars. But before then, like the key stakeholders in your life, what was their reaction? By key stakeholders, I mean parents, friends, family, all of that. What was their reaction?
I'll say mild horror.
Mild horror.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Because I was actually doing well in law.
Yeah, you're a smart person. So you should do well in law.
So doing very well actually. And then I woke up one day and said, no, I'm not going to. Well, I wouldn't say I woke up one day because I was in Unilag. And I don't know if you know, but during my period of from 2018/19 when I started there was strike. Till 2020 there was strike. And then COVID came, everywhere shut down.
And
Federal government was shooting people for protesting.
Yeah.
I just looked at my life and I was like,
You need to reevaluate your choices.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I can continue this. Because imagine being a lawyer in a country that does not care about human rights.
Well, Nigeria is a hard place to be in.
And I remember when I was in secondary school, my art teacher told me, he said, look, you don't want to be a lawyer.
Why?
I said, I want to be. What do you mean?
Why would you?
It's like, he said something. Would you want to, what did he say? I'm trying to think of it. He said, would you want to put your toothbrush in your briefcase? That's what he said. I said, what do you mean?
Meaning
No.
what? Like,
It's like, because you're going to get arrested. If you actually want to be a lawyer, right? You want to help people, right? Then that's what's going to happen.
so you have to, yeah.
And I'm like, no, man, I'm just trying to make money from this. Like, what do you mean? And he's like, I know you will not. So eventually, I saw what he meant, right? That for me to be a lawyer in the country and be a successful one, I'm going to have to exploit people. And that's the truth. Now, this is controversial, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of lawyers out there are going to say, hey, what do you mean? But think about it this way, right? Imagine that you are, let's say, a property lawyer, and your firm wants to acquire a piece of land somewhere, or like wherever you guys want to acquire land. And then there are people there, indigents there.
So you have to clear it out.
And then you have to make the hard decision.
Yeah.
Right? Can you do it? Many people can do it. It's part of work. It's life.
Yeah.
It's legal, right? But not me.
He has a kind heart, guys.
I won't say I have a kind heart. I it's actually low-key selfish, right? I want to sleep well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
So you're saying the lawyers that do that don't sleep well?
No, they probably do. They probably think nothing. They did their job, right? But I would feel bad.
So basically, you have a different ethical standpoint.
Yeah.
So because of that, you pivoted from law to fully writing.
Yeah. I was writing while I was a student, right?
Obviously, as a lawyer, you would have to
When
write.
I'm like, you know what? Do I want to spend 5 years down this line, finish, and then do writing exclusively?
And just
leave it now and build.
the writing.
Yeah.
So on that line, do you ever get scared of the lack of safety nets?
Of course I do. It's very anxiety inducing. I might wake up one day, all my clients have abandoned me.
So what is your plan Z as per last?
Well, for starters, I'm going back to school, right? I'm going to study business and IT. Yeah. So, and I have other skills I can leverage.
I know.
Yeah. So I'm not too worried about that. I mean, if it happens, well, it'll be good for maybe like 8 months before my savings run dry.
Is it fair?
Yeah, and that's a decent amount of time for me to get my act together and try and find something. You see, as a freelancer, if you guys are watching this, as if you're a freelancer, let me just tell you something. You should have 10 million naira. Yes.
In where?
For rainy day. Because...
In a hurricane?
No. Yes, actually. Your own case is hurricane. Because if you have 10 million naira standby, you can actually coast 1 year.
Freelancers, don't allow him put you under pressure.
No, this is... If you don't have it, it's something you should work toward.
Okay.
Right? Chip a little from your... whatever you're earning, and stockpile it to reach that mark.
Like, there are freelancers who earn in naira.
That's why I said 10 million naira.
So, the freelancers who earn in naira, I'm not sure about all freelancers, but I don't think they pay as well. I'm not sure.
What would you say your pensions is worth right now?
I don't know. I really don't know.
If they wanted to fire you from your job, how many months do you have?
With like pension alone or generally?
No, just generally.
With everything, I can say 6-7 months.
Yeah, but freelancers don't have that.
Not from my pension, no. Like
No, I know.
touching my
And
pension.
you even have pensions. Like
Yeah, I do.
freelancers don't have any of this. That's why the buy puts it so high, right? They don't even have HMO. Most of them.
True.
So you have a serious medical issue now. All your money is gone.
Yeah, true.
10 million is a decent hedge, right?
Well,
So that's why I said 10 million.
okay.
And before you should even start saying, oh, I want to invest, I want to do this, I want to do that, you have to reach that mark first.
Okay, so I've heard it from the horse's mouth. DC, thank you so much for being my first guest.
My pleasure.
My show, Money Maketh Man. If you're watching this, make sure to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and we'll be back with many more episodes. Till the next time you see my face, I remain your host, J, aka OG. Bye-bye.
This was fun.
Yeah, it was.
I wish they pay me for this.